Hey there everybody, Pete here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today, as promised, it's been coming on for a couple of weeks. I've been wanting to do the catalog of Swedish metal act. Used to be kind of a doom band, kind of a stoner band. Now they just play like Viking influence, classic heavy metal. Talking about Grand Magus. Grand Magus, Magus, however they say the name. Grand Magus. However they say it. I've said it a million different ways over the 10 or so years I've been listening to this band, but a very cool band. They've got 9 studio albums. Okay, the current lineup consists of Mr. J.B. Janne Kristofferson on lead vocals and guitars. You got Mats Fox Skinner on bass and Ludwig Ludi Witt on drums. Previously they had Fredrik Trissi Leifendahl on drums and Sebastian Seb Cipolla also on drums. So the current lineup has been kind of cranking along together for a while, which is good to see. But a really good band who've got, for me, you got 9 studio albums. Half of the albums are tremendous. The other half are pretty good. But there has been kind of, there's like a little middle period where the band kind of lost their way a little bit. I think they've kind of come back to loftier heights in recent years, but we'll kind of get into that as we go through here. So I'm going to start off with my number 9 for this band. Which is the only one I don't have in physical form. It's from 2014. It's their album Triumph and Power. Okay, so like I mentioned before, this band, when they busted out of the gate, they were doing this fantastic kind of doom stoner hybrid thing and doing it really well. And then they started to move about, when around 2010, late 2000s into 2010, they kind of moved away from the doom and the stoner stuff into more of like a traditional or classic metal sound, heavily influenced by Viking mythology and lore and all that kind of stuff. Triumph and Power for me is a lot of mid-pace numbers, no real slow doomy stuff like in the past, not a lot of faster, more furious tracks like on the album or two prior to that. And for me, this album is lacking those memorable songs. It's really lacking those memorable riffs. A couple good tracks on here though. On Hooves of Gold, got this galloping feel that, I truly dig that kind of stuff. If you're an Iron Maiden fan or, think of like Amon Amarth, maybe not quite as heavy. The Hammer Will Bite is a really good tune. The title track is also pretty good. So there are a couple solid songs. The rest of the album just, for me, doesn't have a lot of life to it. It sounds very cliche driven, right? Just kind of like a metal by the numbers. And it's weird to say that from a band that's got such high quality in their catalog. But for me, this is one of maybe like the 2 kind of disappointments in their catalog. The other one for me is coming in at number 8, The Hunt from 2012. Cool album cover, right? This to me was a big disappointment, following up the success of Hammer in the North, which was the album that got a lot of attention for them. The band's now on Nuclear Blast, moving over from Roadrunner Records. The album is not quite as heavy as the albums that came before it. Some good tracks, though. Sword of the Ocean is really good. Valhalla Rising. Title track is really strong. It's a decent enough album. Like the magic of those bunch of albums that came before it. Not quite here. This is like the album for me, and it's a shame because I really got into this band with Hammer in the North, and then I started, digesting their back catalog. I was like, wow, this band is immense. And then this came out, and I was like, not quite. Man, what happened? 1 album, 2 years, what happened? But again, not a terrible album by any means, just... out of their catalog, the 2 that I just talked about are definitely the weakest in my opinion, but there's good songs on both of them. Coming up next, number 7, Sword Songs from 2016. So, here we got a little bit of a step up from The Hunt that we just talked about. Here we got full-on Viking thing, classic heavy metal. It's all about the Vikings. All the kind of the stuff that they were singing about, writing about early on. Now it's all about this. And, pretty cool if you like that sort of thing. A lot of good stuff lyrically going on here. And the songs just have that feel. right? You get Frage's Choice, kicks ass, great opener, killer riff. You got Forged in Iron, Crowned in Steel, a lot of fun. Again, a little hokey, but you know what? It's great. Master of the Land is totally pummeling. You got if you get the CD Digipack, you get a great cover of Deep Purple Stormbringer. They're the band to do this, right? Overall, really decent album. Again, not one of their best, but still, I think, the band's kind of moving back in a direction that I'm pretty happy with. Same thing can be said about Wolf God, which is the last thing they've done in 2019. I was immediately drawn to this because I'm a huge, if you follow me on the Monsters Den, I'm a big werewolf fan. So I saw this cover and I was like, yes, band that I dig, doing a werewolf themed album, or at least on the cover. Really, really cool. Love that cover art. It's good album. Wolf God, good title track, really strong. You got A Hall Clad in Gold. Again, you hear a lot of the same kind of themes in a lot of the titles. To Live and Die in Solitude, tremendous song. Glory to the Brave, all really good headbangers on here. If you love kind of that traditional galloping, raise your fist to the sky, you got the hammer in one arm, you got the big, stein of mead or wine or beer or whatever, and ale, and it's just kind of, that's what this, think of like classic Manowar, right? Maybe a little Virgin Steel if you like current, like Visigoth, fairly recent band. Just classic sounding metal, right? Good stuff. Again, the Doom kind of gone now at this point, but still really good stuff if you love, traditional metal. Number 5, here's where it gets really tough. The top 5 are all absolutely tremendous albums. My ranking could kind of change at any time here, and I know some might rank this one a little higher. I almost did too. These moved around. These are the movers and shakers on my list. I'm going to go with Iron Will from 2008, and again, look at that kind of werewolf creature on the front there. Gotta love it. Classic metal album. Here the band already moving away from the doomy early stuff, but there's lots of anthems on here. The guitar riffing is ultra crushing and melodic. Like the Ore Strikes Water, you got the headbanger, Fear is the Key, which has some driving rhythms, kick-ass riffs. Iron Will, man, the riffing on that song is just absolutely immense. You got the majestic Silver into Steel. You got Shadow Nose, which has this totally kick-ass snarling riff and tremendous vocals. JB is a killer singer. What else is on here? I Am the North finishes up the album in epic fashion. It's another gem in their catalog. Like I said, I think a lot of people will probably rank this one a little bit higher, and I totally get that. Number 4, I'm going to go with their debut from 2001, Grand Magus. This, if you want to hear the whole doom stoner thing from them, the first couple albums are where you got to go. Totally immense, crushing riffs throughout this album. You got Gauntlet, Coat of Arms, Black Hound of Vengeance is amazing. You got the totally stomping, brutal Wheel of Time. You got Black Hole. You got the absolutely crushing closer, Mountain of Power. Loads of heavy riffs on this album. Absolutely loads of heavy riffs. And, for a Swedish band, they really sound very American in spots. JB's got that very accessible voice, which I think appeals to a lot of folks here in this country because it just, there's no accent going on there, and it sounds, at times you hear little bits of kind of Southern rock in their music, sort of, right? It's just that their music is very, very appealing to the senses, especially for folks, metal fans in this country. So I dig this album a lot of good, longish, heavy, crushing songs. I think their songwriting would, mature over time, but I still love the power and the impact of that album. So I've always really dug that a lot. Number 3, we're going to go to 2005, Wolf's Return. Another really strong album. Again, a lot of wolves on these albums, as you can see. This is their 3rd album. Title track absolutely mashes. You've got Kingslayer, which is great traditional metal. Blood Oath, fast-paced, lethal metal track. You got Repay in Kind, epic and melodic, great vocals, lots of good guitars. I think JB's vocals are outstanding on this album. But here is where, the band really moving away. The shift of moving away from doom to more traditional and classic metal sounds really, really started on this album. All right, my top 2. I got to go with this one. This was tough, the top two, because I love them both. But I'm going to go with the album that got me into the band, Hammer of the North. All right, from 2010. This was a big break for them. I mean, this everybody was talking about this album when it came out. They were signed to Roadrunner Records. It's not a doom album. This is just great classic metal. I, the Jury, just kicks off the album, absolutely rampages. You got the title track, was just a great mid-paced, fist-pumping metal anthem. You got Mountains by My Throne, Black Sails, The Galloping Northern Star. You got the really good mid-paced heavy track, The Lord of Lies. You got the atmospheric crusher, Raven's Guide Our Way. I mean, this is what heavy metal is all about, kids. This, to me, I remember when this came out, again, it doesn't sound anything like it, but I likened this album at the time to kind of how I felt when Hall of the Mountain King by Sabotage came out in 1987. Similar kind of impact, just traditional metal, every song memorable, kick-ass, smoking guitar solos, loads of riffs, great vocals and melodies, it's just classic metal. So if you haven't heard Hammer in the North, gotta check it out. Just a great album. And, in any other reality, that would be my number one from the band. But, man, I just cannot deny the power of Monument, their second album from 2003. I mean, this album is just crushingly heavy. If you love, modern doom with a little touch of stoner and classic metal, whew. Summer Solstice, Brotherhood of Sleep, Ulvaskal, the doom-laden Baptized in Fire. I mean, man, that riff is just absolutely enormous. Plenty of Black Sabbath influence on this album. You got Chooser of the Slain, another great song. He Who Seeks Shall Find. JB's vocals, riffs, and solos are off the charts, amazing throughout this entire album. It's such a great sounding album. So good. So good. As are a lot of these albums. So let's recap here. So Monument coming in at number 1. All right. Hammer of the North coming in at number 2. Number 3, Wolf's Return. Number 4, the self-titled debut. Number 5, Iron Will. Number 6, Wolf God. Number 7, Sword Songs. Number 8, The Hunt. And number 9, we're going to go with Triumphant Power. So there you have it. A very cool band that if you haven't discovered them, you really should. So check them out. All these should be pretty easy to get, I would imagine. Man, the first couple might be kind of hard, but I don't know. Check it out. They're a great band. If you love classic heavy metal, the early stuff is quite doomy. Great vocals, great guitars. I mean, riffs to die for. What's not to like, right? So check them out and visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Coming up tonight, my interview one-on-one with Dee Snider of Twisted Sister. Tomorrow morning, another edition, day 10 of albums that turned 50 years old in 2021. What else? Tomorrow night, Butch Jones and I will be reviewing this monster archival live release from the mighty UFO, Strangers in the Night. Thursday, we've got a live episode of The Monsters Den. Rich Catino, Chris Allo, and myself will be live talking about our favorite serial killer films and taking your questions. That's happening live at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At 7, just an hour before, we will have a special guest, Jason Morris. Viewer Appreciation Day here on the channel. He and I are going to be ranking the catalog of German power metal veterans, Edguy. Friday morning, Martin Popoff and I will be doing part 2 of our Perfect Album series. Sunday, we got a double feature for you Sunday. Rich Catino, Sidney Taylor, and myself will be giving our favorite 10 albums, top 10 albums from Yngwie Malmsteen, and then Lynn Versace is back. She and I will be giving our favorite 10 mellow songs from heavy bands. So that's happening Sunday morning. So don't miss any of this stuff. Kick-ass stuff happening on the calendar here at Sea of Tranquility this week. Make sure you subscribe, like the video. If you really enjoy what we do here, please do consider making a donation via Ko-Fi. The link is below. We've got our merch site URL up there below as well, so go order some Sea of Tranquility merch. And we'll see you later on with Dee Snider. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.